Hey everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. You know, as I sit here and do a little free motion quilting on some practice sandwiches, it made me start to think, we've all been making all of these quilts and wall hangings and placemats and table runners and unity quilts and COVID quilts and masks. But when I'm sitting here thinking, one of the most popular questions I do see is, how do you bury your threads? So I thought I would take you in and just show you my method. There are plenty of different methods, but I'll show you my method so that you can go ahead and bury those threads while you're stitching in a ditch, while you're free motion quilting, while you're straight line, while you're walking foot quilting, whatever method you're using. If it stops or when you start in the quilt, how do you get those threads buried? So let's get to it. Okay, so here we are. I've got a top thread and a bottom thread that I pulled up. I did a little stitching, and now I want to hide these threads. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a knot. You can simply just wrap it around itself and pull it through. Grab your needle. Make sure it pulls tight, but it doesn't get too close to your fabric. And the reason is you want about 1/8 of an inch or so from the fabric. That way, when you go to bury the knot, if it was too close, it has potential of staying up on top of the fabric. When you want to hide it. So about 1/8 of an inch is a really good place to go. Okay. The next thing I do is I go ahead and take my needle, go back into the hole that the thread came out of, go ahead and thread it through the fabric. It's real nice if you can go through some of the stitches, but what's really important, and I think I'm going to have to redo it, you don't want the needle to go through the backing. Everything should be inside. So if that happens, you just pull it back out, reinsert, thread it along. Like I said, it's real nice if you can go through some threads that already are on there. Flip it over again, and this time we did it. All right, now, believe it or not, the next thing that I do is I thread. Now, I don't have a cheater needle. I have a regular needle with an eye, and I'm sure a lot of you don't have cheater needles either. So I actually use one of these threaders because the eyes are small to me and I have a hard time seeing. So I go ahead and I put my threader through the hole, grab my threads. Now, one's a little longer than the other, so I'm just going to do one here at a time. And believe it or not, I do keep some tweezers nearby just for this occasion, in case I need a little help pulling them through. Because my hands just don't work like they used to when I was younger. So anything to help make this easier, you get them pulled through. Okay, so they're through that great big eye. Pull the threads through the needle eye, and now the magic happens. You're simply just going to pull your thread through, and you're going to want to pull a little bit. Sometimes you'll actually, there it went. Sometimes you'll feel it, sometimes you'll hear it, but the actual knot should go inside. So now it's somewhere in the batting in the middle of your quilt sandwich. Then you just simply take your scissors, give it a snip, and your thread is buried. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you at the very end, okay? You notice I have only my top thread sitting here. However, I cut it so that my bobbin was long, and you're just going to get really close to that loop that's there. Pull it through, and now you've got your bobbin up and your top thread. And if the bobbin was too short, you could simply sit here with your needle, give your top thread a little tug, and pull that that bobbin thread up until you find that it's long enough. And then you just simply do the same thing that we did at the beginning to hide that thread. Okay, so there's my method on how I bury my threads. And the one really cool thing about it is the method that can be utilized on your long arm, on your domestic if you're quilting with that, or even if you're doing some hand quilting. It's very versatile in all three. You can use this method. Now, I also did mention, because there are plenty of other methods out there, one way is to use a cheater needle. Now, I don't have one, and if you've never heard of it, what it is it's a needle where the eye is not closed. So the one I showed you and the one I use, it's a closed eye, right? So I have to thread through that hole. This one isn't closed, so you can basically take your threads and slip it through that top part and then guide your needle through. So if you're interested, check it out. It's called a cheater needle. Today, again, on Facebook, on our Facebook page, I'll be there at 3 p.m. to answer any questions that anybody may have. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is down below. But also, if you want and you have questions, feel free to drop them down below here in the comment section. I will get back to you with that. Absolutely. I check them all the time. And then next week, we're going to be doing a little bit of stitch in a ditch. So hiding threads was really good because we're going to be doing some stitch in a ditch. And if you stop somewhere in the quilt or start somewhere inside the quilt, you want to know how to hide those threads, right? So I look forward to seeing y'all next week with Stitching in the Ditching. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I am going to be doing some more free motion quilting with my practice sandwiches, trying to keep those skills up. But I hope and I pray every day that you continue to stay healthy, inspired, productive, and joyful, and never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. I love y'all. I'll see you all next week or today at 3 p.m. Happy quilting.